Well, back live in Ionia, we are pressing Ionia prison officials about how a man who brutally murdered 4 people could just bust out of prison. I'm joined now by 24-hour News agent Joe LaFergie. Now, you've been looking into this all day long. What have you been learning?
Well, Marley, keep in mind, he'd been in here several years. He was described as a low-risk prisoner before he managed to get through that line of fences down there last night. A prisoner the Department of Corrections director says was simply serving his time. No problems in prison. Well, last night he apparently decided he'd served enough time. The knock at Cody Dennis's door came about 9 o'clock Sunday night.
We seen him in their backyard with flashlights searching around.
But when your yard backs up to a prison, you develop a certain perspective when there's an escape.
What prisoner's going to want to come here right after they escaped when they can still see the prison from our backyard?
Job 1 is to recover and apprehend this escapee.
Nearly 24 hours later, answers to how Michael Elliot managed to escape the maximum security prison are hard to come by. State corrections officials, citing security concerns, offered just a few details. A former corrections officer who worked at Ionia Correctional filled in some of the blanks, but he also raised more questions. We know Elliot managed to change out of his assigned prison uniform.
At the time of his escape, he was dressed in kitchen white uniform. I think the color had something to do with his ability to foil multiple security devices, interior and perimeter fencing.
Which may help explain how Elliot managed to get through an intake area. Once on the outside, Elliot got through a hole in the fencing system, which, according to the former officer, is made up of 2 12-foot-high razor wire-topped fencing sections with a smaller electrified fence in between. The former corrections officer said anyone touching that fence sets off motion detectors that should alert guards patrolling the perimeter.
I will say that there was a perimeter vehicle active at the time. They didn't catch it.
Elliot then made his way to the 600 block of Main Street in Ionia, about a 3.5-mile run, where he forced his victim to make the drive to the Indiana border. It was during a routine cell check around 9 o'clock corrections officers finally realized Elliot was gone.
But I will be demanding a very thorough investigation. It's obvious that there were some flaws in our security and that we need to assess what those are.
Back here live in Ionia, and Marley, the other question we're trying to get answers to tonight is how did he get a hold of those weapons, the hammer and the box cutter used to kidnap that victim and take her car?
I know we will not stop asking these questions until we know for sure and can be reassured that this won't happen again. Right. This has been just such an upsetting story to even hear. Joe, thank you for that report.